Hey guys, how you doing today? Thanks for tuning into my drive-by. It's 83 degrees and I am in Fort Myers, Florida, heading to the I-75 to go northbound. It actually is 17th of February 2014 and it's about 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon. I wanted to bring up a subject, and this video is going to really help a lot of people. And the video is plating guns. Okay, it's basically everything you want to know about plating a gun. And I'm going to take this to all guns, and I'm going to talk to some different talk about some different surfaces and plating and things like that. Bottom line, the reason I am bringing up this video, because a lot of people do get their guns plated. Okay, they either get a gun, maybe their finish is worn down, or they get a gun and they wanted a different color, or they bought a gun that's got a crappy plating on it and they want to get it redone. Plating is not cheap to get done on guns. Okay. Overall, and we're just talking about, I guess, pistols and revolvers. Let's generalize. A revolver, of course, it's a little bit more surface on a gun. A pistol has a little less surface area. Okay. I'm going to try to stick to slides and full frame, like a Desert Eagle type, a Kimber, something that's got a solid frame, or a revolver, that you're going to be plating. And let's just go through a few finishes and just some information about it. Now, number one, usually revolvers have a blued finish, okay? Like a bluing. It looks like a black, but it's called a bluing. And they're fairly durable on revolvers, Pistols have either melanite or a type of, like a Desert Eagle, that have a black oxide. It depends on what gun you're going to buy. Some have a black oxide, some have like a melanite finish, some have like a, it's like a composite coating and stuff. And some are pretty durable in the black ones. But let's say you want to take a gun, and let's just say it's like a black oxide finish, or even, well, let's just start over. Or let's just start from the beginning. Okay, so the first thing, when you decide if you want to get your gun plated, let's say, and we're going to go through a few different plating scenarios, like what materials you're going to plate it with, and we're getting into prices and some of the difficulties that are encountered. So let's say you bought a blued gun or a black oxide gun, which those come off the easiest. Chances are they could just chemical bath it, or they could just lightly sandblast it, and they could get all the bluing off. That's probably the easiest gun to do, or with that melanite finish or black. They could sandblast that off usually, if they can't just chemical bath it and soak it off. And the nice thing about that is they're not going to take off much metal off of your gun. Okay, that can become critical in all steel, like pistols. Revolvers not as much, because if they have to actually sandblast a lot and they have to put a lot of corrosive chemicals to get a plating off, then you are going to lose some of the thickness of the layer, and that could have some problems and some tolerances on some guns. Not always, but anyway. So that finished, they usually can just sandblast it or tumble it, and they can get all that surface off. Once they get the old material off, what they'll normally do is, if you want your gun polished, if you want let's say you're going to take that gun and you're going to get that thing polished chrome. Well, if you want it polished chrome, what they'll normally do is they'll polish the hell out of that to a mirror finish, and they'll plate it for you, and then you'll get a polished chrome out of it. Okay. The thing is, with any kind of polish, especially chrome, nickel, or anything like that, when they do polish it, you've got to be careful, because if they are sloppy and they don't polish it enough or too much, they'll actually, it's called burning, they'll make a little gray area in the plating, which doesn't, then when you plate the gun, you look at it, you'll have like a gray area in there, and that's a defect in the plating. So if you ever pick up a polished chrome gun and you're going to buy it, look at it really good, because a lot of manufacturers will have that in there, and they usually will not replate the gun because they'll say that's acceptable. But it's acceptable for them, but you might be paying $1,000 for a gun or more. Is that acceptable for you? Definitely not. So what I would do is look at the finish for any kind of defects in there, peeling, pits, uneven marks. Look very good. And if you're at a gun shop, take it out, take it out of the light, out of the case, and look at it, angle it, look very close, because you're not going to be able to return that gun. Even to the manufacturer, chances are they will not give you any kind of credit or your money back on that. You're kind of stuck, because most of them do not warranty plating, especially if it's just like a little imperfection. They figure that's cost of doing business, and that's normal. Now, you have to really decide what plating you want to go with. There's many around, okay? I just said that with the chrome because those are things to look at, any kind of bright finishes, okay? Now, you may want to go with a brushed chrome or a brushed nickel, a brushed type. Now, that's like a satin. What they do is they take the gun and polish it off, make it all real nice, and they sandblast it, and then they plate it, okay? And then you get a satin look on your gun. That normally won't show as many defects, and it's pretty durable, but it's not going to be like a show polished chrome. And I like polished hard chrome. Of all the finishes you can get, polished hard chrome is the hardest. Now, I know there's some other stuff like PVD coatings, and there's titaniums and stuff, but titanium, believe it or not, is not going to be as hard as a polished chrome. Titanium rubs off. Titanium, when they take the titanium finish off a gun, if you send it to get it, they just sandblast it off or tumble it off, and it comes right off. On a chrome-plated gun, they have to dip it in acid and really work a lot. It's a lot more expensive and more time-consuming to replate a chrome gun than it is to like a blue or a black or a PVD or a composite material or a melanite gun. It's a lot more expensive to do a chrome-plated gun or a brushed, because it's harder to get that finish off. And it depends. Now, if you're going to go for, let's say, durability and show quality, it would have to be hard chrome, hard polished chrome. Nickel, some people say yes, but nickel is more yellow. It's not a bright white color. So you're not going to get the brightness of like what you would get with a polished hard chrome with nickel. And nickel is a little softer. But I mean, there's apples and oranges. They're probably just about the same amount of work to do. The nickel is just a little different alloy. Now, let's go back to plating guns. You have to be careful. Some guns, older ones, now, I'm not sure of all of them, but I know on the Desert Eagles, the Israeli-made Desert Eagles, the black ones, they actually had filler in those guns. And even some of the other, I think, chrome plate, where they put like copper filler and stuff, and plating is kind of hard on those guns sometimes, because there'll be areas where they can't plate them correctly. So you have to be careful if you get a black oxide gun, and especially an older Israeli-made Eagle, it might have a hard time plating it. The barrels and parts like that, they're just a little different when they did it. And this is directly from Magnum Research. They actually, and platers that plate those guns, they told me that. But it just depends on you. You know what I mean? What kind of colors you want on the guns. Myself, I don't like the PVD coatings at all. You know, I just don't like those. And I don't like when people take their Glock and PVDs to tan or something. I don't like that, because that's not it's not as durable, the finish, than it would be like chrome or melanite even. Those finishes wear a lot. And if you're going to take the gun and shoot it a lot, it's going to wear off. I mean, if you got a Glock, Jesus, you just leave it the color it is. Or if you want it to look like chrome, polish the slide. Take all of it off, sand it, polish it out real good with a Dremel. You can almost make it look like chrome, the slide, and it'll look pretty good. That's what I would do. People actually go out and they get this tight. There's a big thing now, and I think the Glock store or somebody, there's a big thing about titanium plating the slides and the barrels on Glocks. Guys, titanium finished It's probably not even more durable than the Melinite that's on a Glock. That will scratch, that will mar. It is put on a different way, but it's not as durable as you think it is. I know. I got guns with titanium in, okay? I know all about it. And especially if you're going to get a barrel done. You're going to get a barrel done on a Glock and put a slide on it. From that thing shooting, you're going to get streaks on that barrel, and it's going to look terrible because it's going to wear. It's going to wear. Unless you don't care, you're fine. But you got silver metal underneath gold coating. When you scratch it, what's going to happen? Add it up to logic. That's why if you have a gun that you're going to shoot a lot, and you want it to look good, probably there's only 4 finishes that you could ever want to get your gun plated. Okay, I would have to say polished, high gloss nickel, brushed satin nickel, polished high gloss chrome, and brushed chrome. Because if you run that gun like that, what's going to happen is when the slide goes back and forth, or the barrel, or any kind of moving parts, they're going to scrape it. There's silver underneath it, so the silver will not really show that much because your gun is in silver or chrome or nickel or brushed. You won't see those wear marks as much as you will on if it's a nickel or if it's a gold. Now gold, I would say, is the worst possible color you could get a gun plated at, 24 karat gold. Now again, if you're not going to shoot the gun and you're going to keep it in the presentation case, and you just got it like that for collectability, I'd say fine. 24 karat gold gun is fine. But if you're going to take that baby out and shoot it, it's going to wear. You're going to get wear marks all over the place like this, and you're going to have silver marks in there. And if you're finicky or fanatic and it's a collector gun, you're going to want to get the thing replated. The gold guns, they just put a layer of 24 karat gold on it, got maybe a little sealer, and that's it. It's the softest metal there is. It's very malleable, ductile. If you know your metallurgically, it's a soft metal. You don't want that unless you're going to take the gun and put it away and store it. You could probably do that, and I probably wouldn't get any parts gold plated. If I had let's say you got a chrome gun and you want to just get the trigger or something, I would go with the titanium on that. The titanium would at least be better than 24 karat gold. It'd probably be 10 times harder. But the bottom line is, when you want to plate a gun, you got to really think. You got to really think, how much you're going to be shooting the gun, how much use is it going to see, because you'd hate to go out and spend a lot of money on a really nice plate job just to have rub marks and see silver metal coming through. And you'd be kicking yourself in your head because you'd say, wow, I did all this work and now look at the gun. So you have to really think about what you're going to do with it. Each plating, there's a purpose for the plating for that gun. But you cannot go wrong with hard polished chrome, a show chrome on any gun. That looks real nice. Now when it comes to revolvers, there's different colors you can get for those too. But the easiest way to do it is buy yourself a stainless steel gun. When you go out, buy a fully stainless steel gun and polish it. It'll be like chrome. And you'll never have to worry about the metal coming off or anything. And if you get some wear marks, you just go in there and buff it out or polish it. That's what I would do. If you get a blue gun, especially if you're going to be carrying it and stuff or using a lot, you're going to get wear marks, you're going to get rub marks, you're going to see the silver. I bought an H&K once for $900, and it was used, and it had wear marks, and you could see the silver metal coming through the slide. And I was a little pissed off. I says, Jesus, this is a $1,000 gun. But that's what happens. And then why would you want to go spend $200-300 to get it plated? But to me, I think really the most useless plating is on the Glocks when they do those barrels and slides. They may look good, but as they wear, and they wear just as much as any other gun, I thought about maybe once getting it done myself, but I says, I don't know how good that would look. I don't think it would look very good. You know what I mean? Because the whole gun on a Glock looks better black, I think, than having a gold slide and a black frame. And you know, some people do they coat the frames and all that, but see, all that coating comes off. All the coating rubs off. So you got to be real careful getting fancy colors, because if you're going to fire the gun and use it, I don't know if you'd want to do that. But you can customize them. There's nothing wrong with doing that. They do look nice. I admit it. But you just have to play it by ear, I guess. So you know, that's kind of a gist on plating. It's just you got to really know what you're going to do if you're going to get a gun plated. You know, like I say, there's a big resurgence on this titanium stuff. Everybody wants to plate their guns in titanium and stuff, little brothers. But don't forget, titanium comes off. And hopefully this was educational, and you know, it sheds some light on plating a gun, or maybe what colors to plate it, or I mean, this is just, you know, like I say, my opinion, and what I've, you know, gone through with some guns and some of the Desert Eagles on finishes, and what is more durable and what's less durable. And a lot of this information has come from people who do plating that have told me about durability of finishes and stuff. But like I say, there's multiple companies out that do plating, and then when you're going to your plating, usually to get a gun chrome plated, you know, most companies charge about $400, and that's with disassembly. If you disassemble a gun, probably like $250. But most reputable companies, if you're going to get a gun plating, you know, we'll disassemble your gun and put it back together and test it. I know a few companies do the Desert Eagles. You send them your whole Desert Eagle, they take it apart, plate it, clean it up, do everything, and they send it back fully assembled and tested, which is nice. And you don't have to do anything, just take it to the range and shoot it. Because, you know, sometimes they're a pain in the ass to take the Desert Eagles apart, or any gun for that matter. Because, you know, there's screws and springs and things that pop out, and you'd hate to goof it up and lose a spring like in your bedroom and never find it and have to buy one. You know what I mean? So, but there's ways around that too. What you should do is when you disassemble a gun, if you're not sure they got springs, use a plastic bag. Do it in a plastic bag. Then this way, any springs that pop out, you won't lose them to be in the bag. But if you don't really know what you're doing, I advise not to do it at all. But thanks a lot, and hopefully the plating gives you kind of an idea. I gave you a rough price. You really have to shop around. You know, guns, titanium's about $750 to get plated. Gold's probably about $750. Nickel chrome, polished, brushed, they're probably all in like the $250 to $400 range, depending if you have them disassemble your gun and put it back together. There's PVD coatings for maybe a few $100, but I don't really recommend them. To me, that's like painting your gun, and this shit just does not stay on good enough. So, and I don't even like the way they look when they make it look blah. The gun looks better without those PVD coatings. But thanks a lot. Have a great day, and hopefully this video on plating facts, what you should know, has helped. If you have a question, shoot me an email, post a reply, and please subscribe. Thanks.